people are starting to recognize that the same old is going to take us to the same place. And, you know, we're sort of at a precipice right now. Are we going to continue down this road, which is leading to a very bad place, or are we going to try to make a change? I think they're also looking at the lives of people who have had very significant accomplishments, because that's what we need right now is accomplishment, not just more of the same.
Dr. Ben Carson reacting to a shakeup in the polls with Chris Wallace on Sunday. Not the only Washington outsider, he said, getting a bump following the first presidential debate. Katie Pavlich, news editor, Townhall.com, and a Fox News contributor. Marianne Marsh, senior advisor to Secretary John Kerry. Ladies, good day to both of you. Here are the numbers now, okay? Carson got a lift. So did Cruz. So did Fiorina. Bush took a hit. Walker took a hit. Senator Paul took a hit. Katie, weigh in first. What do you see here?
Well, look, I think that you look at the one thing that these candidates who have seen a bump in the polls, and you find that one thing that they have in common, and that's that they have an outside of Washington perspective, not just simply not being a politician, but having some real world experience and talking about how they can apply that to the highest office. You know, you go back to the 2010 midterm elections, you go back to the 2014 midterm elections, and you'll see that on the Republican side, it was all about an anti-establishment message, and that's why Republicans were so successful in taking back the House and taking back the Senate. And I think that that same sentiment is what we're seeing now moving forward in the 2016 race, and the results of the polling show it.
Yeah, one interesting point here. Donald Trump was at 26 before the debate. He was at 25% after the debate. So perhaps unchanged. Marianne, go.
Unchanged. When you look at this poll, here's the most striking thing about it. The fact is Donald Trump not only controls the Republican primary right now, he controls his destiny. And no one's going to take Donald Trump out of this race except Donald Trump. Not his opponents, not the party apparatus, nobody else. And the reason is voters, especially on the right and others, really like what he has to say. And he's saying much of what they've been saying and feeling for some time now, but he's got the biggest voice in the room and it can't be silenced. And they want to be heard, and they feel that Donald Trump is not only speaking to what they believe, but he's being heard by everybody. And I think that's the most telling thing about this poll, is that he really is running this race.
Following the debate, he said, hey, I won it. check out the poll. They say I won it. He may be true in some of these polls, but we also found, Katie, that they felt he had the worst debate performance and was considered the least likable Republican candidate. How do you square that?
There is such a thing as low information voters on the right, and that's exactly what we're seeing with the Donald Trump prop up here. I mean, Donald Trump has he's been a Republican, he's been a Democrat. He is actually the definition of a rhino when you get down to it. He's a Republican in name only, but because of his name statute and his celebrity, people are glomming onto that. And sure, he says things that people like, and he's blunt, but you know what? 5-year-olds are blunt too, and they say things that people like as well. And unless you take a look at Donald Trump's real record of being on both sides of every single issue, whether it's Planned Parenthood, illegal immigration, and the list goes on, healthcare, for example, you'll see that he actually isn't a conservative in the way that people are trying to paint him and tag him as a conservative. So I think as time goes on and more people start paying attention to the details of what these candidates have done and what their records are, I think we'll see his poll numbers go down.
Okay, one more point on this. Men, he held steady, Marianne. With women, he dropped 3 points since the debate. What's it tell you?
Which is not a not a big hit, really. I mean, it's all within the margin of error. But if you live in Washington, you've underestimated Donald Trump all along, and that's true of pundits, the media, and everybody else. People know, in any campaign, people have to know and like you before they believe and trust you. They knew Donald Trump long before this. They like what he has to say. And I think people are reading this race wrong because 40 is the new 50 in polling. We've talked about that before. People don't like people in politics as much as they used to, but they like what Donald Trump has to say. So usually you would look at their personal favorability. In this case, in this race right now, and I think maybe for the entire race, people really like what he has to say, and they're looking at that more than liking the person. and they believe what he says, and they believe he believes it. And last point on this, he has very smartly made, to Katie's point, moderated some of his positions, and that makes him doubly dangerous. He's not only pulling in independents now, it also makes him more of a threat if he runs as a third-party independent candidate. So that's not an idle threat. And when you look at this Fox News poll, the numbers tell you that too.
Doubly dangerous. The DD. Katie, thank you. Marianne, thanks to you as well. More to come real soon, okay? Got jury duty today. 20 minutes past the hour. Thank you.